Hi, everyone. Brendan Murphy here. I decided a couple weeks ago that I wanted to go ahead and do reviews for all the new Mandalorian episodes that are going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks, starting with tonight. We got Chapter 9 tonight, Season 2, Episode 1, The Marshal. Very excited. We haven't had a whole lot of chance to talk about it on the podcast yet, but obviously I feel like anyone who loves movies also pretty much inherently loves Star Wars. At least that's true for me and Matt. We're both a bunch of big Star Wars nerds. One of the main reasons we started this is because me and him were going back and forth about Last Jedi. I'm very pro Last Jedi, him not so much. But that's kind of where we got the idea. Just like we had a good chemistry going back and forth, kind of debating about the movie, just talking about it. And that's kind of, I don't know, built a little bit into the DNA of what we're doing here. So I figured there's new Star Wars stuff, so we should talk about this new Star Wars stuff. I stayed up till midnight. We're here on the West Coast, so the new episodes are going to drop, I think, midnight every Thursday. So that's when I'm going to be recording these. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's get into it. I'll give you just my quick thoughts on the first season. I liked it a lot. I wasn't the biggest fan when it originally started. I thought it was interesting. I liked kind of seeing like the direction they were taking. I liked the decision to kind of get back to Star Wars more like Westerns and like old Kurosawa samurai movies, like going back to those influences and kind of like really digging into those aspects of the Star Wars universe. There's a whole episode that's just like, we're going to do a Seven Samurai episode, which is great. I'm down for that kind of stuff with Star Wars. And I like that we're like branching out, seeing these different planets, different worlds. We're seeing these communities we wouldn't really normally get to see in a Star Wars movie or anything like that, because we wouldn't just have enough time. I mean, the whole like Star Wars Skywalker saga maybe takes up about like 18, 20 hours total, and that spans over like 40 years of movie making and stuff like that. So, I really like that aspect of it. It took a while for me to like really get into it. I didn't really like start like, oh, okay, I love the show till about, I think like the sixth episode, which I think is The Prisoner, where, they go in, they got to go rescue, the Mandalorian gets a job with some older partners of his, and they got to go rescue the guy from a prison. Bill Burr's there and like all that. And it's a lot of fun. But like, that's when I really started like, okay, I'm buying into this. I can like start like being excited to watch this every week. And I thought it ended on a really strong note. I love the last two episodes a lot. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of the show, but like I like it a lot. I like Star Wars, so I keep watching it. As far as my other backgrounds with more of like Dave Filoni's stuff, I haven't watched all of Rebels and I haven't watched all of Clone Wars, but I watched some. I like what I've seen. I just haven't gone through all of it. Big fan of Favreau. Seeing Iron Man in 2008 was a big thing for me. Obviously, I think it was for a lot of us of like this generation, like growing up with Iron Man, and then there's the Punch of the Dark, big old 1-2 punch with the Dark Knight later that like kicks off this whole thing of superhero movies. I think Jon Favreau is like kind of super important into like kind of understanding what the last decade or so of like big Hollywood blockbusters have been. I also like a lot of the smaller work. Like I love Chef, Swingers, also really great script, really good movie if you haven't seen it. Some early Vince Vaughn, also really solid in it. But yeah, so I guess that lays kind of just the patchwork of like how I feel about all this and all this stuff like going in and like all the context going into it, how I feel about Mandalorian, its creators, everything like that. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about the Marshal. So we kind of just go ahead and get right back into this. Starts off with a shot of just Mando and the child or Baby Yoda, however you want to call him. I love how there's this whole controversy. Listen, I love that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni got so defensive and so nerdy about the fact his name is not Baby Yoda, it's the child. Like I don't know, it's that fun like nerdy shit. Like I don't know, that's like super endearing that like they still put so much that thought into this kind of stuff. Sorry about that. Little technical difficulties, but we're good now. So yeah, I found that funny that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau got like all up in arms when everyone was like, when Baby Yoda craze was sweeping the nation. But yeah, so we basically just like, so the whole setup is that the Mandalorian, he needs to now go like try and find some Jedi or like someone to take care of the baby that's not him, because obviously little baby can't be going around with a bounty hunter or a Mandalorian all the time, especially the one that's being like tracked by uh, one of the best bad guys on television, Mr. Giancarlo Esposito. Um, so we get this like underground like Fight Club kind of shit going. We got an underground uh, wrestling match or fighting, whatever you want to call it, between some Gamorrean guards, which was fun. I liked seeing those guys again. There's always a lot of fun. And we get a little cameo by John Leguizamo in like this one-eyed alien kind of deal. And obviously they had a deal. Deal didn't go great. So like, you know, guns were pulled. Mandalorian kicked some ass. And it's great. You know, it's just like, you know, the first season has this kind of opening where it's just like, well, let's get you in. We're going to like do a little mood setting right here. And we're going to have the Mandalorian do some badass shit. And it was fun. I liked it a lot. But then we kind of get to so John Leguizamo alien, he gives you a little just like tidbit. Okay, so there's another Mandalorian. I got some info. He's on Tatooine. And when you hear that as a Star Wars fan that there's another Mandalorian on Tatooine, I think we all know where your mind immediately jumps. And obviously they got me very excited that maybe, oh my gosh, Boba Fett is like maybe going to be in the Mandalorian, which is fun. So we get back on Tatooine. Amy Sedaris is still there. We get like some fun stuff with her. And then she's like, okay, so there are these big three towns, kind of. There's Mos Eisley, there's Mos Espa, and then there's this other town, like way out there, can't even see it on the map. And that's where your Mandalorian is. So he's got to go out to the middle of nowhere to this little mining colony. And so he asks for who's the Mandalorian that's like here, and like, I need to go see him. And so we get this great little tease where it's Timothy Olyphant dressed in Boba Fett's armor. And obviously this is not Boba Fett. He takes off the mask immediately. It's a great misdirect. I thought it was pretty fun. So we have this like, and by the way, great casting. Just like if you're doing this Western type of show, like Timothy Olyphant is exactly who you want to get. Obviously Justified. You've seen him act as a cowboy and other stuff like that. Like even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they hired him to act as a cowboy. Like great casting decision. And this is definitely one of the episodes that leans much more into that like kind of more like Western area of like Star Wars influences and everything like that. Like it deals a lot with just like, it's basically like a little cowboys and Indians-ish, while still like I think the setup for the story is pretty fun. They're going for it's basically, so Timothy Olyphant, he got Boba Fett's armor after the second Death Star blew up, and Tatooine, like there was this power vacuum created and his town got taken over. So like he just kind of runs away. He finds some Jawas that save him, and he sees that they have the Boba Fett armor. Now, he doesn't know that this is Boba Fett armor. No one knows that it's Boba Fett's armor in the Star Wars universe, except, like, you know, the people who know who Boba Fett is. And he has, like, these crystals that he trades the Jawas the Boba Fett armor for. And now he just, like, has Boba Fett's armor, and he protects the town with it, and he, like, uses it to, like, it's kind of like a scare tactic. And, like, also just the fact that, like, you know, Boba Fett's armor has, like, a rocket pack with it with, like, a bunch of missiles that can shoot out of it. So that's going to help in a fight. So there's that, but there's like this problem. There's like this dragon thing that they have to, that like keeps coming through the town and like kind of fucks shit up a little bit for them. So he's like, the Mandalorian is pretty upset that he's wearing Boba Fett's armor because it's like kind of, you know, it's his religion. It's like, there's a whole thing of like, one of the first things that Timothy Olyphant does is takes off the mask, and he's like, you don't do that. You're going to have to give me that armor back, or like we're going to have some problems. And so Olyphant's like, okay, so I got this dragon thing. If you want the armor back, you're going to need to like help me out and kill him. Then like we'll be square. I'll give you the armor. Like all good. So they set out to find this dragon thing and kill it. And they meet up with some Tusken Raiders, which I think the way it handles the Tusken Raiders is probably the best thing about this episode, because usually when we've seen them in the Star Wars universe, they're not really considered like, I don't know, even humans. Like they're more animalistic than anything else. Like there's no real motivation or anything you see from them. I mean, literally, they're just like these maskless figures. Like they're kind of like the Reavers and Firefly. Like they're just these like kind of savage, animalistic type beings that you don't really think of as like being able to like, I don't I don't know. It's like this weird thing where like, we haven't really seen that kind of thing with this society in Star Wars. So like it just kind of took me by surprise that like, I know it was a fun thing they did in like the first season where they like communicated a little bit with Tusken Raiders, but like they really do a lot more with them in this one, and I like admire what they did with them, because essentially what happens is the Tusken Raiders are like, well, we're not gonna be able to take this shit down by ourselves either, and we want it gone too. So like, why don't just like us and like you and your town like we'll like team up and we'll like go fight the big old dragon thing. And it's basically just like, it's like a Western story where it's like the like the townsfolk and the Indians have to like team up to go like fight the big bad thing that's like threatening all of them, and which is like a fun idea. And I think it pretty much like it pulls it off. It's a lot of fun. I like the way they kind of approach it. Uh, there's a big fun sequence at the end where they like gotta like blow up the big dragon thing, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean that basically covers the plot. But I mean, I think the purpose of this episode and like what it has to do is just like ease you back in and get you back into the tone. And I think it does exactly that. Like obviously there's a bunch of cool Star Wars stuff, like you see Boba Fett's armor, obviously, but like there's like a lot of cool little details. Like I love that it shows like what a small town did when like they learned that like the second Death Star blew up and that the Empire was gone. Like you get to see like a celebration of like people you wouldn't normally see in a Star Wars movie. And then you like there's a fun little like Easter egg where Timothy Oliphant, the thing he's riding through the desert, is just like a pod racer engine that they just like they attached a seat to, and he's riding around in that. And like I think that's fun. Like like it's just like it's just kind of here to like remind you like, hey guys, you're in good hands. We know what we're doing. We're making like a really fun Star Wars show. Like, thanks for being with us. I hope you enjoy the ride. And it does exactly that. Like I said, I think it gets you right back in with all the Western influence of, all those older movies like Searchers or Unforgiven. Obviously that's a newer Western, but like gets you right back into watching and like feeling that kind of stories unfolding before you. And it like uses a lot of the tropes, obviously. Like we get a lot of shots of people riding their like speeders / horses in the desert. And obviously, and then they do the whole thing where like, even when they're like, we gotta work with family, like they're savages, and like the same exact language that like the townsfolk in any Western use when like they have to interact with the Indians. And it's I don't know, it's fun. It's like it's the Mandalorian is back, essentially. And I'm ready for that. Obviously Pedro Pascal, good as the Mandalorian, like we're all good with that. And it's like we're back to having those like I think what works about the Mandalorian so well is that it's not necessarily like this huge overarching story. Obviously there is like first one they had there are things that connected everything at the end, but it's just like, it's just like we're gonna go to this area in Star Wars and we're gonna do a story here. We're gonna go to an area of like the galaxy over here that's completely different. We're gonna do a completely different type of story. We're gonna meet these types of characters. We're gonna tell this kind of story. Like it's and I think that's the most interesting and fun part about it. And to see them still doing that stuff, still being very creative about all of it, um, gives me hope. Like I'm excited to watch the rest of the season. Can't wait to see where it goes. Obviously, we got some good Baby Yoda action in this as well. He's still as cute and as adorable and as fun as he was in the first season, which I know that's the big drop for most people. But yeah, so I think that covers most of my thoughts for this first episode. Like I said, it's more of a thing where it's just like, okay, we're getting back into this world, this universe. Let's get ready for the next 7 episodes. So those are my thoughts on season 2, episode 1 of The Mandalorian, chapter 9, the Marshal. Um, I hope you guys liked it. Like I said, I'm gonna do these for the next 7 episodes too. Hopefully, Matt can join me for those ones. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Watch some of our other videos we got up here. We just released a video on Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell. Had a couple friends from uh, uh, sorry. Oh gosh, I had a couple friends from college join me to talk about Drag Me to Hell, and check that out. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.